Hey guys, if you don't know me, my name is Maddie and I am a senior, and I am super excited to be bringing the word to you guys tonight. So we just got done playing a game where we had to decide if it was a myth or if it was a fact. Now, we believe as Christians and as a society that there is so much evidence to prove that Jesus was real, that he couldn't be a myth. And so there are people that believe these three things about Jesus if he was real. And they are lunatic, liar, or Lord. So you may be asking yourself, Maddie, why are we having this conversation? I'm so thankful that you asked. Thank you for asking. It is so important to understand who Jesus is, to understand Christianity. So we're going to dive into each of these things that I just mentioned, but I only have 15 minutes. So you guys are ready to go quick and ready to pay attention. So the first one is liar. So people believe that if Jesus was real, then he would be a liar. And so they claim that he was lying about being the Son of God. So before we jump into this, I want to give a quick little history lesson for all the history buffs in the room. There are these super, super cool things called the Dead Sea Scrolls. And this is what they look like. You can look up at the screen. And they are very, very valuable to us in this point of the liar. The Dead Sea Scrolls are an outside source, so that means that they're not from the Bible. Not all of the ones that have been written were written by people who followed Jesus. So that means that they were written by people who are non-believers. They have been used to cross-reference and to prove the truthfulness of the Bible. All right, we're going to take a quick pause from that, and we're going to look at the Bible. In this passage I'm about to read, we're going to look at a passage about people trying to prove that Jesus was a liar. So, in John 8, verse 55, it says this, "But you have not known him. I know him. If I were to say that I do not know him, I would be a liar like you. But I do know him, and I keep his word." All right, that's a very wordy sentence, even for me. And so, quick background, Jesus is talking to these Pharisees, like the religious leaders at the time, and they are saying that Jesus is a liar. And Jesus is like, hold up, what the heck? And so he's like, you don't know God because you don't believe that I am the Son of God, so you are the liar. So if Jesus really was a liar, first of all, he knew that he was lying, and second of all, he would be a hypocrite because Jesus had taught us not to lie. So not only would this point not be true, but Jesus has these people called the disciples. Disciples were the people that followed Jesus around. They did everything together, and Jesus had 12 of them. And they were like the besties, your best friends. They did everything together. And all of them but one were killed for spreading the gospel after Jesus had ascended back into heaven. So not only would Jesus have been a liar, but the disciples would have died for a lie. I don't know about you. I know some people that can go pretty far for a lie, but not as far as death. I mean, like, come on, that's a little ridiculous. So, if the Dead Sea Scrolls that I mentioned earlier, that are true, as an outside source written by non-believers, then the realness of Jesus coming to earth and preaching these things are also true, showing that the disciples did die for a true thing, that they died for Jesus and what he stood for. Then Jesus could not have been a liar. All right, we're going to look at the second thing, lunatic. So, if Jesus wasn't a liar, people believe that he has to be this crazy man, like absolutely insane. And so I know everybody loves a really good post-wisdom teeth surgery video. People are crazy, they're out of their minds, and so we're going to look at a video of mine. It's about 30-ish seconds, and mind you, this is 30 seconds out of 2 hours that I am absolutely insane. Let's take a look. That is a crazy person. I was absolutely insane, off the walls. And remember what I said? 2 more hours of that? Let's just say that my mom had a lot of fun with that. So, that is what people believed Jesus was like. If he wasn't a liar, that's what they believed. that he was absolutely insane and that he had no idea what he was talking about. So if I were a disciple, I would try to keep this under wraps, right? My mom even tried to do that in the video. She was like, Madeline, stop talking. And I'm like, nope, you can't shut me up. But that is what people think Jesus was. And so in Mark 30, 20 through 21, it says this. One time, Jesus entered a house, and crowds began to gather again. Soon, he and his disciples couldn't even find time to eat. When his family heard what has happened, they tried to take him away. He's out of his mind, they said. All right, so Jesus is going from town to town, and he has these huge crowds following him, which isn't something that's new. It's very common for Jesus to have a bunch of people coming up to him. And so his family's only logical explanation is that he is crazy. Like, I mean, people are crazy, and they have like big crowds that follow them. And so even in the end, Jesus' own family realized that he was not crazy. Here's another thing. We all just heard the way that I talked in the video, right? Did not talk super well put together, nothing super metaphorical or very fancy kind of thing. And so let's take a look at Mark 12, verse 31. Love your neighbor as yourself. Just going to put that out there, but if Jesus was acting like me, I don't think that he would say something like that. Here's another example. Lunatics don't have women and children following them. In fact, I'm pretty sure it would do the opposite. Now, I'm pretty sure maybe I'm not the only one, but my mom always told me to stay away from strangers. So I feel like this would also apply to crazy strangers. She's like, don't do that. And so here are two examples of women and children being drawn to Jesus. Let's look at Luke 8, 1 through 3. After this, Jesus traveled from one town and village to another, proclaiming the good news of the gospel. The 12 were with him, and also some women who had been cured by evil spirits and diseases. Mary, called Magdalene, from whom 7 demons had come out of, Joanna, the wife of Chuza, the manager of Herod's household, Susanna, and many others. These women were here helping to support them out of their own means. And then we're going to look at Matthew 19, 13 through 14. Then the people brought little children to Jesus for him to place his hands on them and pray for them. But the disciples rebuked them. Jesus said, "Let the little children come to me. Do not hinder them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these." So if women and children who were looked down upon at this time weren't important at all, were drawn to Jesus, I feel like this is something that we should look at. So let's think about this. If there is physical, historical evidence that Jesus and what he did was indeed true, he wasn't a liar, he wasn't a crazy person, what is he? And what are we supposed to do with this information? If Jesus wasn't a crazy man and he wasn't lying, then what is the third option? In Matthew 27, 50 through 54, we read this. And when Jesus cried out again in a loud voice, he gave up his spirit. At the moment, the curtain of the temple was torn into 2 from top to bottom. The bodies of many holy people who had died were raised to life, and they came out of the tombs after Jesus' resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared to many people. When the centurion and those who were with him, guarding him, saw the earthquake and all that had happened, they were terrified and exclaimed, "Surely he was the Son of God." So what would Jesus be? He would be Lord. Even the very people that hung Jesus on the cross knew who they had done it to and knew what they did. So if Jesus wasn't a liar and he wasn't a lunatic, he would have to be Lord. He was truly who he claimed to be, and he did die on the cross, and he did raise from the dead. And he was who he says he was. But why? Why did Jesus do this? Why did Jesus come to earth and die? I have one word for you, the word love. John 3:16 through 17 says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever shall believe in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him. That one word, love, can change the whole meaning and purpose of the story. Because he loves you. So if Jesus is Lord and he's not a liar and he's not a lunatic, he has a greater purpose and a greater plan for your life. And I know some of you in this room don't really know Jesus and you don't really follow him, and this is all new information to you. And it can be scary sometimes, not really understanding what's going on. And today you have a choice to not only believe that Jesus is Lord, but to start following him. And some of you in this room are like me, and sometimes we understand that Jesus is Lord, and we understand that he's Lord of our lives, but it's hard to continue to follow him when there's so much going on. And so for you, I want you to think about what ways Jesus isn't Lord of your life. Tonight was a lot to take in, and I'm very thankful that you guys did a great job listening. And we're going to head into small groups, and don't be afraid to ask your leaders questions. They're ready, they're eager, they want to learn with you. And so, you guys are dismissed.